Right. So first of all, why don't you guys tell me a little bit about you guys in the Genius Squad and what that is?
Do you want to say it or do you want me? Well, the Genius Squad, I think, was created this year, and so what it is where we go around and help teachers or staff and people with tech.
Okay, cool.
Here's iPads. Since the sixth graders this year have iPads and sixth or eighth has iPads, we're helping them and the teachers like with Notability, e-backpack, and get them used to it and things along those lines.
Nice. Do you guys do like when their iPads aren't really working well and stuff like that, try and help them out?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes teachers need a lot of help. You know, that's a lot of what I do too, is help teachers use Edmodo. Do you guys use Edmodo at all in your classes?
Yeah, we took a snapshot today.
Oh, okay, cool. Math or English?
English.
All right, cool. Right on, guys. Well, this is fun. I'm ready to answer your guys' questions, whatever you have to ask.
You go first.
Name one of your favorite mobile apps and why is it your favorite?
Ooh, wow, great question. Well, okay, here's two. I mean, I use like Lyft all the time to get around. You know, you guys familiar with Lyft?
No.
Are you guys familiar with Uber?
Yes.
Okay, so Lyft is pretty much the same thing as Uber. It's just, I don't know, I like it a little bit more. I don't know why I like it more, but I do. So I use Lyft all the time to get around because I live here in San Francisco. It's like a pretty dense city, and it's really bad to drive in. So even though I have a car, I use Lyft to get around a lot. And I also like to surf. So my other favorite app is called Surfline. And you can look it up, and it has like cameras and reports for the different spots. And so you can like check how the surf is before you decide to go or not. So they're probably like two of my favorite apps. And also, of course, my ESPN Fantasy Football app, because I'm on that thing every day trying to make the right trades and pick up the right players, you know?
Yep.
Yep. So those are my three favorite apps.
If you don't mind, how did you start developing Edmodo and why?
Yeah, good question. So we started developing Edmodo. Actually, we had a teacher who worked in IT, who did like manage the technical stuff at a school. So he was managing like their web filter. This was about 7 years ago now. And seeing that kids were constantly getting blocked from Facebook, from all these social networking sites. And he realized that, you know, kids these days, students are wanting to access social networks, very comfortable on social networks, and thought to himself, why don't I build a network, like a social network for school and for students, where students can get on in a closed, safe environment, interact with each other and their teachers about school. So that's where the idea started, and he teamed up with a programmer in Chicago, and they just started developing it out of that idea. And, you know, 7 years later, here we are. Edmodo's taken a lot of, you know, really grown a lot and changed a lot over the years. But that same mission of connecting students and teachers together in a closed, safe environment is still at the heart of what we do today.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry if you have to write all that down.
Tell us about some of the disadvantages of both Android and iOS.
Ooh, good question. Disadvantages and advantages?
Yes.
Well.
Wait, disadvantages.
Okay, that's a good question. Well, so, I mean, the good thing about Android is that you can, there's so many apps, and pretty much anybody can develop their stuff for Android. But that makes for, in my opinion, what's a little bit of like a crazy user experience or like a kind of a very jumbled design with a lot going on, and like every Android phone is different. So like if we're trying to do support on an Android phone, like the back button is in a different place on every phone. So it's just stuff's different across all the phones and devices. So it can be, like, in my opinion, a little more confusing, but there's more freedom. So the downside for iOS is like more constriction on your design. Everything has to kind of look a certain way. And also from our perspective, like the apps have less features than the whole full mobile website. So I think that's one of the disadvantages to apps in general, is you're just confined to a smaller screen. And so you can do less. Yeah.
Which one do you prefer, iOS or Android?
Well, I prefer iOS. I'm a Apple iPhone user, so I'm more familiar with iOS, so I prefer it. And I think, like, to me, I think the design and the user experience and the feel is a little easier to use and looks a little nicer. But that could also just be because that's what I'm used to. So I prefer iOS, but I haven't really used Android enough to say that I understand it well and give it a fair shot.
So what are the main differences between desktop apps development and mobile app development?
Yeah, I think design is the biggest difference. Like on a desktop app, you have so much more space to work with that you can, like, really lay out your site in a certain way. But on mobile, you're really confined to that, like, 6x3 screen or whatever it is. So it totally changes the design and how you have to think of it and how your features are going to work and how your product's going to work. And you have to kind of strip it down a little bit and be more streamlined. So I think just a lot less space and freedom on mobile app. And so that just kind of constrains the design of everything that you need to do. And you can kind of you can pack a lot more features into a web app than a mobile app.
How long did it take you to develop the app?
That's a good question. I don't want to give any wrong information here about when we released our mobile app. But it was, maybe like a couple of years ago we released it, and the team was working on it for a long time. I don't know exactly how long, but it's so I can't really give you a good answer to that because I don't know when really the team started developing it. I wish I had a better answer for you. But in terms of development, like, we release a new kind of version of our app to the Google Play Store or to the Apple Store, maybe like every 2 to 3 weeks, and the team is kind of constantly working on developing it, improving it, fixing bugs, potentially building new features. So the team's constantly working on it. And we have one team that's fully dedicated to our iOS app, and we have a different team that's fully dedicated to our Android app, and then we have a different team, a much larger team, that's fully dedicated to our web app.
So did your school, when you started thinking of this, did your school have iPads, or was it kids using their phones trying to use this?
I think it was primarily in like the computer lab. So it was kids. It was students using the computers at school and whatnot. But nowadays we're seeing tons of students who simply access from their phones primarily. So being mobile friendly and making sure our apps are good and quality is really important to us because so many more students have phones than like access to computers.
What's the importance of user interface and user experience for teachers and students in mobile application development?
User interface and user experience is everything. If you have a confusing user experience, a confusing user interface, or a painful user experience, people aren't going to want to use your app. And especially when it comes to teachers who don't have a lot of time to figure stuff out. They need stuff to work. They need it to be easy. They've got 100 kids that need to be able to use the Edmodo app without, a confusing time and not having to take hours to explain how to use it. So it's super, super important. Needs to be easy to use, needs to be functional, working well. So I'd say that is super important, especially in mobile app when, like I said, you have much smaller space you're working with. It just needs to be easy to use.
What was the most difficult part of developing the app for teachers and students?
That's a good question. I think one of the most difficult parts of developing the app is deciding exactly what features are going to go in the app and kind of what is not going to go in the app, because not every single Edmodo feature is accessible in the app. So kind of deciding how are we going to, make these features live on the app, which features are going to make it, and which features are most important. And then also just kind of, there's a lot of different things you can do on the app. So designing it and deciding how it's all going to work together is also a big challenge as well.
So say supposedly the iPhone 7 has that 3D touch mechanism, and that they have into it. How would the app on the phone adjust to that feature app on the laptop version?
So let's say new phones come out with new features. Then if they're, or new iOS or whatever, if they're running the old version of our app, then our app's not really going to be able to take advantage of those new features. So if new capability comes out on a phone, we'd have to kind of develop a new version of our app that's going to work with that feature and of the phone and take advantage of that feature. So it'd be another thing that we'd have to build.
What advice could you give students on beginning to code and develop apps themselves?
That's a great question. I would say just learn as much as you possibly can as early as you can. Take classes. If you don't have classes at school about coding and developing those skills, there's so much stuff online you can look up. You can teach yourself how to do a lot of stuff online. So I would just say, start with your school and see what kind of resources are there where you can start learning some programming or some coding. And if there's not a whole lot at your school, go online. And I know there's a good site called Teen Treehouse. They have nice videos that'll walk you through and start you off. So there's a lot of stuff online that you can look into. And I'd say just, if you're interested in that, just spend time with it, several hours a week in your own time. Spending time on that is going to really go a long way. And if you have a good foundation as a middle or a high school student, then you're going to just be, off to a great start in terms of being able to develop apps someday.
What mobile device do you use?
Sorry, what's that?
What mobile device do you use mostly?
I use, I'm still on the iPhone 5S.
Me too.
Yep, 5S. So maybe someday I'll upgrade and go big. My phone looks so small now because everyone has these iPhone 6s and everything, but I kind of like the small version because it fits in my pocket well.
I have the iPhone 6 and one of the kids in gym hit it out of my hands and the screen broke.
Oh no. Yeah, you gotta, the breaking screen is probably their most common issue, I'm guessing.
So as a kid, were you one of those type of kids that would take apart some things? If your parents didn't want something and they put it in the garage or something, would you go out there and take them apart and see what was in there?
I actually wasn't, to be honest. I didn't really get involved in technology until about 2.5 years ago when I started here. Actually before this, I taught high school. I taught science in high school. And so I wasn't too involved in the tech world until I started here at Edmodo about 2.5 years ago. And my initial role was helping the teachers use our product. I was in support. So when teachers would write in with problems, I would really just explain to them how to use the site and kind of help solve their problems. And since then, about 2.5 years ago, I've gotten much more involved on the technical side of things. But I'd say that it wasn't a strong interest of mine growing up. It's actually something that I've kind of developed here over the past couple of years.
Do you have any projects in development right now that you could share with us?
Yes, we do. So you guys use, obviously you guys use Edmodo, right?
Yes.
Like your backpack?
Yes.
Backpack feature. So the backpack is about to get totally redone and improved. So you're going to see a totally new look in the backpack probably in like a month or so. And there's going to be some new like stuff you can do. It's more of the stuff that's coming out is for teachers, but it'll be easier to search in there. So a different search function. So you'll be better able to find your stuff, as well as like subfolders. So you can put folders within folders, which is something that we've heard teachers request for a long time.
Like
yeah, like kind of like on your computer, how you can have a folder with the folders inside. On Edmodo right now, you can only have one level of folders. You can't put folders in folders. So we'll do that, and that'll be really good for teachers who have like, courses and units and, all these things that need to be nested inside each other. So new library coming out soon, and then we're actually working on a lot of other features that are more like at the entire school level. So we have Edmodo's free for teachers, but school districts can purchase Edmodo management, and that gives them a whole suite of features. And so we're working on developing those right now as well. Things like teacher badges, the ability for principals and whatnot, administrators to award badges to teachers. That's something that's not supported now. A public group directory where a whole school could set up like groups for their teachers, and so a number of things on the Edmodo management product as well.
In the final product, when you just released it,
yeah,
how big of an impact do you think it was to the kids and how it was used?
Well, I mean, we hope it had a really big impact, and we hope that a lot of teachers and students used it to connect with each other and communicate and have the discussions, in their classroom that they want to have online, and share the resources that they need, and find the resources that they need. So we hope it had a huge impact and can really pay off for students and teachers, and save teachers time and help you guys connect with your teachers, at all from any angle. Or what I mean by that is you don't necessarily have to be in the same classroom from 9 to 10 or whatever it is to get in touch with your teacher and kind of further your learning.
Do you have any questions for us?
That's a good question. So what grade are you guys in?
We're seventh.
7th grade. And are you guys interested in like computer science and app development and that type of thing?
Yes.
Nice. That's great. I would say you guys are in such a good spot, and it's so cool that you're doing this and you're interested in this type of thing and asking questions, and you guys should totally run with that interest. And yeah, just practice, get exposed to stuff, get involved, do what you're doing now. Because, skills like app development and tech skills are only getting more important. And if you guys start now, by the time you guys are like my age, you're going to be so good at whatever it is that you're doing, and, making crazy apps that are going to do wild things that we can't even imagine yet. So I don't know. I don't really have any questions for you guys. I just think it's really cool what you're doing, and just want to say keep it up.
Are there any tips and tricks around the apps?
Tips and tricks on the apps. I think that my short answer is no, because if there's something on the app, hopefully it's like in your face and it's easy to understand, and you've already seen it. It's not like something you have to go uncovering, So I'm going to say no. There's not really any tips and trips. Kind of everything that you see on the app or everything that you can do on the app is hopefully like apparent and obvious. So I don't really have any tips or tricks for you on that one.
So on that design you were talking about in like a month or two, if we teach teachers how to understand that, do you think it'll be easier for them to remember it?
Yes.
It will be.
Please do. Yeah, definitely. I mean, every time we release something, no matter what it is, even if it's like a huge improvement or the best thing ever, there's always that point when there's always that change. It causes users, teachers to change and adopt new ways of doing things. And that's always going to create a little bit of pain or frustration because now things are different and they have to adapt to new features. So as much help as possible that you guys can give with your teachers, explaining to them, hey, this is the new feature, this is how you use it, is super helpful. Otherwise, teachers get confused and they ask questions of us, but much better if they can just solve their own problems with the helps of you guys.
I think that's probably about it.
Cool. All right then. Well, so what's the next steps with this interview? Are you guys gonna write an article or anything like that?
I have no clue, honestly.
Okay, cool.
Teachers to watch.
Oh, okay, great.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. Well, guys, Dan has my email, so feel free to let me know if you guys have any follow-up questions down the road or how it's going with Edmodo.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Hey, great talking to you guys.
You too.
Keep up the good work out there. All right. And thanks for helping our teachers. They need as much help as they can get. And smart kids like you are like 20 times better at using technology than most teachers out there. So keep helping them out.
We'll try.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay.
Stop broadcast.